Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
All right, before we get started in this podcast, I do want to give everyone a quick spoiler warning.
Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
Now, the spoiler warning is very, 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 very mild. I know it's kind of a weird thing to have multiple varies in front of, but I'm just saying, we do talk a little bit about Endgame and the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that kind of has spoilers for Endgame here. We do try to keep things vague. So if you haven't seen Endgame yet, haven't seen the trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home 2, we try to keep things as vague as we can. But people might be sensitive to it. And, X-Men Dark Phoenix, we talk about the spoiler, but we don't talk about what exactly is spoiled. I mean, we mentioned a character is dead. We don't say which one. So it's a little bit in the gray area. I just want to give everyone a heads up on that before we really get into this podcast. We always try to do these kind of podcasts without many spoilers here. But, this one here is kind of in the gray area. We don't really get too specific, but if you're really, really sensitive to spoilers, you might want to, give you a heads up. And I put little tags in here so that way you could hear it. You're like, oh, I don't want to, I could skip ahead. But we really tried to make this as spoiler-free as possible. So just giving everyone a heads up. One more thing before we get started, I want to mention that we do have a link in the info box that will take you to our website, and that the website we have all the trailers you kind of talk about here. So that way, if you have not seen these trailers, you can go over there, see it, check it out, see the posters, get a little bit more information, the official synopsis. We have that article, so you can just check it out and get all the trailers. So you can watch it. So again, that's in the info box, just a link. So on to the show. Hello. We got the full crew here for the Summer 3D preview. I'm Adolph Vega. I have with me Jake.
Howdy.
James.
Hello.
And Miss Krista.
Hello.
So, the summer is... Jake, you said that the summer started with Avengers Endgame, but is it really the summer? Does it feel like summer to you?
It's
Sure.
90 years, so yeah. Just blame it on climate change.
Krista, is the summer box office season here, or is it not yet?
I feel like we're not getting much of a summer box office season because it doesn't seem too populated with actually decent movies. No offense.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
All right, let's start things off with this month. We're in May, and Detective Pikachu, which comes out on May 10th.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think of Detective Pikachu?
Well, I'll say my thoughts that I've previously had. I'll say kind of weird that they'd release Pokemon is a pretty big franchise. I find it weird that the first movie adaptation that they're going to make is some spin-off that's only popular in Japan. Seems very weird.
No, I agree with you 100% there, James. Detective Pikachu is a 3DS game that was not in 3D, by the way, and that came out 2 years ago. And it's not... You would think the live-action Pokemon game would be based on one of the various generations, like red or blue or yellow or whatever. But nope, it's...
Yeah, it's very weird because, I don't know if it was because Detective Pikachu was the easiest to do, or they were lazy, or they wanted more of a... But just seems kind of a very odd way to make a live-action version of Pokemon. You would think that they'd at least try and... Because the way I'm understanding it, this basically takes place in the real world, quote-unquote. not the Pokemon world, which has its own like maps and stuff. So, yeah, just very odd. Another interesting thing is the fact that, this film is for like an American audience, but it's based on a Japanese spinoff. Like, that's kind of like, to put into perspective, that would be the equivalent of making like a live action Yokai Watch movie with like an all non-Japanese cast. Very weird.
All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on this?
Since seeing the Sonic trailer, my thoughts on this have really went up severely. After seeing how horribly a game character can get mangled, I was like, this might not be too bad. I mean, yeah, it looks like Fisher Price, my first little Blade Runner, but, it could be interesting. You have to admit the character designs look awfully damn good when you compare it to the Sonic trailer.
Very true. Krista, what are your thoughts?
I still think the character designs are creepy. Like, even considering how creepy Sonic is, like, I don't know what the deal with CGI lately is. I feel like all the CGI we've been seeing lately is just very, like, uncanny valley, unsettling type of, like, sets you on edge, kind of. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about those things, but yeah, I definitely agree. There's some weird CGI this year, and especially this summer. Krista, have you played any of the Pokemon games, or no?
No, I don't really have, like, any experience with Pokemon. Like, I didn't even play Pokemon Go when it was popular, so I'm, like, operating off of, like, next to no knowledge here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've played Pokemon Yellow maybe about halfway through. If any gamers are there, I just finished the boat area. I've played Pokemon Snap to completion. I've watched maybe season 1 or 2 of the anime. I know I've played a good amount, like maybe 10 hours of Pokemon Go. So I haven't really played an entire generation from beginning to end. So I know enough about it that I know what's going on. But I think the next thing we talk about with here is Ryan Reynolds being Detective Pikachu. Does this work? Yes or no? Before we watch the movie, we're recording this on May 8th, by the way. Krista, does the Ryan Reynolds work on this?
I think I agree with, like, you guys have said earlier that you don't think it works. And, like, now that I've, like, really paid attention to it, I understand where you're coming from, because it is not the kind of voice that you expect to come from a very small creature.
Jake, you have any thoughts on Ryan Reynolds before we watch that review, or watch this movie and review it?
Yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds' voice has become so distinctive and so associated with Deadpool. You keep expecting him to start swearing any second. And part of that, I think, is they play up the humor aspects in the trailer, so it plays into his Deadpool persona. So it's either going to be brilliant or it's going to crash and burn. I really don't see how it can be in between.
James, were you still wanting Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito? Well, yeah, that would have been funny. No, you could to the people who say he doesn't know what Pikachu is, I don't think Ryan Reynolds did either.
So yeah, I kind of feel like Pikachu should have a higher pitched voice, and maybe it could be a female voice actor instead of a male voice actor, and it would have been okay. Maybe have a talented voice actor like the guy that does Fry on Futurama. He was fantastic. I forget his name.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting now is I see too many a lot of movies now giving voice acting roles to people who are just famous actors instead of licensed people who do animated roles.
So yeah, Billy West was a character actor who did Futurama and many other voices. I think he would have been great here, or maybe one of the Simpsons alums. They would have been great here too.
Yeah.
Editor's note: I just want to give everyone a quick heads up that since recording this podcast, I have seen Detective Pikachu. I recorded this beforehand. So just give everyone a heads up for transparency reasons. If you have not seen or heard the review, I gave Detective Pikachu a 6 out of 10. Just want to give that out there. We try to record these podcasts as quickly as we can, try to get them up as quickly as we can, but sometimes life gets in the way. So back to the show. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to the next movie, Aladdin, the 2019 remake. This is coming out on May 24th. Krista, you're reviewing this. Are you excited to review it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think. I don't know how. I think it's going to be a passable movie. I don't know that it's going to be a super amazing movie. So my expectations are kind of tempered here, but I like Aladdin, so, and I like that they didn't whitewash the cast. That's a huge thing. But I feel like it's just mostly going to be a play-by-play remake of the animated movie and not going to be that different.
Yeah, I don't really see the appeal.
Now, people were very controversial or very angry at Aladdin because the genie is Will Smith, and that original CGI looked really bad, but I think in later previews, it looks fine. It's really jarring. Again, like Krista said, CGI this summer is kind of weird.
I just wish it was played by Shaquille O'Neal instead.
I do think Will Smith was a weird casting choice. I'm not really sure why they went with that.
Yeah,
because Robin Williams is dead.
Oh well.
I mean, that's the horrible thing. Personally, I think they should have not remade it yet.
Yeah, I kind of see where that's coming from, but I still feel like they could have gotten someone closer in terms of Robin Williams than Will Smith seems just a total miscast to me. I don't know.
They're just playing on 90s nostalgia. Robin Williams is popular in the 90s, and so was Big Willie. So
yeah.
So, all right, let's keep going here. Got Godzilla, King of the Monsters is coming out on May 31st. Godzilla, the only issue I have with this trailer or trailers with this is that the visuals, the cinematography, looks really ugly. So I'm just a little bit worried about that. I did not see the original in 3D, so I don't know if it's going to be any good, but it looks like it might be a fun movie.
Yeah, I'm honestly hoping this one does well. I for the most part, the monster movies have not, or was it the what's it called? The Tojo verse or whatever they want to call it, the Kaiju monster verse or something, has not been that bad. So, in comparison to other, American movies, the first Godzilla remake, the 2014 one, that wasn't that bad, So, I hope it does well.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely looks better than Pacific Rim sequel.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
Pacific Rim, yeah, sucked.
Yeah, that was a blown opportunity.
Krista, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I feel like there's been so many Godzilla movies, I can't keep track of them. I feel like it's just gonna get lost in the shuffle.
Well, I mean, you gotta remember though the 90% of all Godzilla movies were made in Japan, and they were made 30 something years ago. So, I mean, I don't know. I think, and if you look at the films that's been released, he has had a major hiatus for the last 20 years. So I don't really have a problem with them making more, as long as they're good. And the thing is that from what I've seen, the 2014 Godzilla, a lot of people complained, their major complaint was there wasn't enough Godzilla. But if you if you look at previous movies, it's always kind of been like that. You know, Godzilla shows up at the end, like freaking 10, 20 minutes. He has a fight with the monster, and that's the end. But, like, in these films, to kind of, you know, that can't be the only part of the film, so they have to tie a story to it. So, you know.
Yeah.
It's true. Because, you know, if you just focus on Godzilla, you have, like, what, a 10-minute movie?
Oh, they just need to go back what they did in the old days. Hire 2 wrestlers, put them in rubber suits, and have them stomp around on miniature sets and wrestle each other for 90 minutes and call it a movie.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, too, is that a lot of the suits, especially in, like, the late 90s, that era, look pretty good. So I'm not even against that.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, when I was little, first time I saw Godzilla, I was like, Gumby, you suck. Godzilla, you rule.
Yeah. But when are we going to get that Jimbo origin story?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this is the first movie for Millie Brown, which is Jane or Eleven in Stranger Things. It's a little bit weird to see her on the big screen instead of Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see if she finds big screen success, because it seems like a couple of the because what was it? Finn Wolfhard. He's in it, and that did very well.
So let's get into June. June, we have The Secret Life of Pets 2. Jake is reviewing this. It's coming out on June 7th. Krista, what are your thoughts on the first Secret Life of Pets movie?
I feel like it just kind of like, it's just like a kind of like not even that interesting of a kid's movie.
All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on the first one?
It was there. It's one of those things that gets compared to Zootopia a lot, comes up short. I mean,
yeah.
And some of it is, I mean, T.J. Miller, just not that funny. Won't get into the other stuff. The trailers for the second one actually look like an improvement, but we'll see. Because I feel like I'm diving on a hand grenade.
True.
James, have you seen the original?
You know, I've seen like most of it actually, but not all of it. Like it's been on when I've been around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I reviewed the original. I think I gave it a 7 or 6. I don't remember. It was okay.
This movie beat Ghostbusters.
Yeah, a lot of things beat Ghostbusters, James.
I feel like it's in the same category in my mind as like Minions are, except like not as hot.
Well, it was made by the same people.
Oh yeah.
Made the Minions. Yeah. So it's the same animation studio.
Mm-hmm.
Minions is much worse.
Yeah.
Minions is much worse. I'm barely able to watch that one, and I was very generous giving that a 5. But I was just like, I'm bored. When is this going to end?
Oh, I'm at the point now I can't even tell the difference between Minions movies and Despicable Me movies.
Huh. Well, the difference is that according to the size of a minion, Gru is 14 feet tall. I don't know if you've ever read that copy pasta, but it's very good.
That's funny.
So I originally did give it a 7. I mean, it was fine. I liked it. I just don't really care for more. of this. So,
Okay, so I think you liked it more than I did, because it's one of those. I'm thinking more 5-6 range for me. I think to me it just what I remember about it is it just dragged in too many places. They could have probably cut 10 minutes out of it, and it would have flowed a lot better.
now this was 3 years ago. Maybe I was more kinder as a reviewer. You kind of become more jaded on hardcore as time goes along. So it might be, it's one of those things that as you go through movies, you become harder and harder of a critic. So maybe I'll give it less now. But all right, let's keep going here. We got Dark Phoenix. No X-Men in here, but it's based on the X-Men, coming out on June 7th. And the latest trailer just doesn't care about spoilers. So yeah, yay. Spoilers here for Dark Phoenix. First of all, Krista, what are your thoughts on the X-Men movies? Have you watched them?
I watched one of them, and I had no idea what's going on. The only thing I remember, like, plot-wise, is that Quicksilver was, like Magneto was Quicksilver's dad. And that's the only thing, like, I have taken away from the movie I watched.
All right, that was Apocalypse. So that's the second one in this rebooted younger X-Men universe.
Yes.
James, what are you thinking of Dark Phoenix?
It just looks, I don't know. I've become I've always been pessimistic towards the X-Men movie. I don't know. I don't think they get it right. I don't think the people making the movies have an understanding of the story or the characters. They just kind of do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't get Apocalypse at all. It's like, the best way to describe it is like, they read a Wikipedia article and they think they can make a movie. They're like, okay, well.
It was trying to do, like, too many things at once, so there were, like, 50 different plots going on, and I understood none of them.
Yeah, those films have a big problem with doing that. They cram a lot into very, very short. And then another thing, too, is that they got, like, a million ideas, and they have no idea what to do with them. So it's one of the reasons why I've actually started to believe that the only way X-Men can work is as an actual series rather than a movie series, and then like a movie franchise, because a 12 episode thing has the ability to kind of go over. X-Men just needs time. That's the best way to describe it. There's a lot of stuff to go over. It's nowhere near as simple as Spider-Man or the others, because X-Men's like a huge cast.
I mean, like, the sequence where, like, Quicksilver is, like, saving everybody from like the explosion, that was, like, amazing, like, filmmaking. I just wish that, like, the entire film was like that.
Yeah, that scene, they had another scene like that in the previous movie, which was X-Men Days of Future Past. And the thing is, the Quicksilver's a little bit overpowered because he's, like, way beyond, like, light speed at that point, So, but yeah, he's a cool character. I feel like the X-Men movies are completely hit or miss. Like, you may totally get a really good one and then get bad one. And then it just, the first X-Men movie was good, better than expected. The second one was great. The third one was bad. Wolverine was bad. First Class was good. Wolverine, bad. Future Past, great. Deadpool, great. Apocalypse, bad. Logan, amazing. Deadpool 2, bad. So, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did see Deadpool. I wasn't counting that as an X-Men in my brain.
Yeah, Deadpool can't really be considered. At least I don't consider it part of the X-Men universe.
Like,
in the sense of,
they only, like, kind of, like, cheekily jibe at why are there only 2 X-Men here?
Well, what they do with the Deadpool movies is that they make fun of the X-Men movies, but they're more of a parody than they are a, you know what I mean? Like an actual part of the universe.
Yeah.
So.
Now, Krista, if you haven't seen Logan, definitely recommend that. I love that movie.
Okay.
Jake,
You don't seem convinced.
Logan's great. You should also check out First Class.
Mm-hmm.
That one's a blast, and you'll have no problem following it, even though it just kind of just drops you into it.
Okay.
so the X-Men film series has to put it nicely, a convoluted timeline that doesn't make any sense. It's
Yeah.
So, X-Men First Class was supposed to be the reboot of the X-Men franchise that takes place in the past, and then Logan is in the future, and then, this is in the 90s, I think, and then New Mutants, which is supposed to come out in 2020 now, which God knows if that's going to get a theatrical release. This is going to be the last, I think, true X-Men movie in the Fox universe. After this, the Disney Fox deal has already been put in place. So the next X-Men movie will be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in some ways, unless somehow they're going to rewrite New Mutants to have Marvel Cinematic Universe in there, which I don't think is a good idea. I think, but we'll see. So,
Contains spoilers.
Krista, were you aware that they spoiled this a main character dying in the newest trailer of Dark Phoenix?
Yeah,
Oh wow. No, I didn't know. I didn't.
So yeah, it really pissed me and Jake off because we cover the news and try to get all the news articles for the website, and we're like, what the hell? And then they just started doing interviews about the death, and you're like, this movie hasn't come out for 2-3 months. Why are they doing this right now? And having massive spoilers about a character dying. So it's I kind of feel like they are desperate here, and they're trying to do anything they can for this movie to get publicity and press for it. But it's a bad sign when you're gonna spoil a major death in the character before you watch it.
Yeah, it's like saying, who dies in blank to advertise, the film. It's not good.
It's the type of stuff you don't want to promote, because it's let's use Solo as an example. Most people I know didn't go see Solo because the character died in the previous Star Wars movie. So his story was over. They weren't interested in going back. They were only interested in going forward. And the only thing that would have changed their mind would have been if Harrison Ford was in it. I know he's over it and he's old, but you know how movie fans are. They want what they want, regardless of anything. And America loves Harrison Ford, and he wasn't in it. So they didn't care, and they stayed home in droves.
Yep. And then also, all the that was the casual people, and for everyone who isn't a casual Star Wars fan, they were pretty mad at Episode 8, and so they didn't go.
So going back to Dark Phoenix, this movie was also delayed a year, from last year to this year, and then it got pushed up, and then apparently early screenings of this movie were bad, enough that the director and all the writers decided to just scrap half the movie or a third of the movie, and apparently early screenings before the delay, people were laughing at some serious scenes and the tone was completely off, so they had to change it. So there's a lot here that it has bad signs all over it. So we'll see. And come June,
How do you make an entire movie without realizing how crap it is?
Well, this is what I was talking about earlier, though. These people have no understanding of the characters they're writing. They literally I'm not joking when I say that these people probably just read a Wikipedia article on them and think that they understand the characters. They don't, and it clearly shows. The Dark Phoenix saga, the reason why it was done poorly last time, they haven't realized, is because the Dark Phoenix saga isn't a one-movie thing. It should, take time. There's a lot of moving pieces. You have, the fact that she gets her powers. You have the Hellfire Club. You have her death. I mean, there's a lot of elements there. There's a lot of parts. You have to remember the Phoenix saga in the original comic books was a storyline that took place over like 40 issues. So a lot of material.
Yeah, I agree with James. And, there's a lot there, and they're trying to condense it to a 2-hour movie and then have a conclusion there. And it should be something they could tease and have for like 3 episodes or whatever.
Honestly, again, going back to what I was saying, I'm really starting to think that the only way X-Men will ever work is if it's a series like the Netflix shows. That's the only way, because there is just so much going on. There are so many characters. The Avengers don't even have this problem. Like, the Avengers have like a core cast of people, and relatively the characters are cameoing. Like Iron Man shows up, and Iron Man has his own film series. Thor has his own thing. The X-Men, they're their own, like, that's it. You don't get a solo Cyclops movie. That you know what I'm saying? Like, the characters there are specifically just for X-Men. So you have to have more time explaining who they are in the X-Men like film or whatever it is, and that it's just a matter of time. It doesn't work, basically.
Now, one thing that X-Men was doing was that Days of Future Past kind of fixed some of the continuity errors, and then Deadpool and Logan were both R-rated movies and strong R-rated movies, and New Mutants might be R, we'll see. But and then that Deadpool 2, so they're trying to push forward and say, rated R movies, and that's going to be basically gone now. And I think that was a good idea to really kind of justify how the X-Men movies are different from the Marvel movies or Marvel cinematic movies. Having it R-rated, focusing on one character like Deadpool or Logan really made those different. So I kind of feel like it's a misstep, and they're not really, they could have just ended things pretty well with Days of Future Past and just moved on, but they didn't.
Yeah. And Apocalypse is another good example of why, Apocalypse can't just show up and be defeated in one movie. He's like the main bad guy.
You're 100% right.
I don't know if you've read anything about him in the comic book, but he's like the Thanos of the X-Men universe,
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's you definitely needed to set up Apocalypse and give him a couple movies to get in there. But let's move on. We got a lot of movies left. Men in Black International. Now, this movie actually has coming out on June 14th, and this was not a 3D movie for the first teaser, but now the newest trailer actually says 3D at the end, so now we're including it. And I actually like this take of Men in Black. I think it's actually a fun way to reboot the series.
I'm actually pretty hyped for it.
Yeah. It looks a lot better than Men in Black 2.
Come on. Black 2 wasn't that bad.
No, 2 was bad.
Men in Black 2.
No,
yeah, 2 got did in by 9/11, and they should have delayed and figured it out instead of just flying by the seat of their pants with a last minute fix, because they couldn't obviously end on the World Trade Center.
Isn't it also weird how many films had to do with the or how many movies centered around the World Trade Center when it came down? Like, isn't that so weird how like everyone had a fixation with that building before? Yeah, just stupid. Very weird. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to this movie here. So it actually looks like maybe a technical fourth movie. I think they kind of alluded the events of the.
Well, actually, yeah, this isn't a reboot. It has a character from the third one in it, so
I think they have like pictures of J and K in the past.
It's a spinoff.
So I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. It feels like a different movie. It feels like at the same time, Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson have great chemistry as Thor and Valkyrie in the Marvel movies. So the trailers look really good. And the only thing that I'm worried about is the little creature that is like there, making wisecracks. I'm kind of worried about that. We've had bad history with little creatures making wisecracks, sidekicks, I think Kazoo or something like that in Flintstones.
He'll be fine. He's just one of the alien. He kind of looks like he's supposed to be the Joe Pesci of the Men in Black universe.
So, Krista, you're really excited for this? You like the other Men in Black movies?
This is like the main summer movie that I feel like actually has potential to be good, and like I'm actually like. It just seems fun. Like you've got like Tessa Thompson with like a giant gun, and I just love it.
It looks fun. It does look legitimately fun, and it looks like a good kind of reboot or a good kind of way to continue the franchise, but move on from J and K. Now, I actually like Men in Black 3 a good amount, so
I like the third one.
I think this looks good. So
yeah.
It's kind of a positive thing. So. Let's go to another quote-unquote fourth movie, Toy Story 4, which I was really hesitant about before, but the trailer looks really good. So, June 21st, Toy Story 4. What are your thoughts of this, Krista?
I'm not sure if it's like strictly necessary because the third one felt like such a good ending for that story that I was actually kind of surprised they were making a fourth one. But like it does. I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna enjoy it, but I feel like there's no way they can top the ending they already had.
No, I agree 100%.
Well, what I was gonna say about it specifically is the fact it's like, for the last there hasn't been a good Pixar movie in like 10 years, so I mean
that's harsh.
I'm not. Or at least when I say good, I mean like timeless, because the quality was just so outstanding before 2010 era. Starting with Cars 2, it was just disaster.
Wait, I feel like, okay, you don't think Coco was good?
It was okay.
Coco's great. You're wrong. I'm sorry.
It wasn't like.
I'm about to fight you on this.
No. See, you gotta remember that, like, the movies after that certain point are nowhere near as good as, like, the original 1995 to 2010 era. Nowhere near. Like the movies afterwards, like, some of them are good movies. You could call them good, but they're nowhere near the quality that it was before. That's the reason why it's kind of a harsh decline.
Yeah.
And especially the sequels and the prequels, those have always been bad.
Yeah, I'm not with you there.
I strongly disagree with you.
Well, you lost.
No. Inside Out is fantastic.
Right?
Yeah, and
love Inside Out, love Coco.
I liked Inside Out and Coco. But after that, I agree with James, though.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. There are good movies, capital G, good, but I mean, nowhere near the Pixar, like, quality standard that was before. I mean, I'm not going to deny that the movies afterwards, like, none of them are terrible besides maybe Cars 2. but I'm just saying none of them are great. Like like the original, like Finding Nemo, or Toy Story, or
Okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. Actually, now that you're saying that.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is like the movie, even Ratatouille, like those movies. And WALL-E was a pretty good one too. But what I'm saying specifically is those movies were like so good that they're timeless practically, and the movies afterwards, like, they're good movies, but they're not the Pixar. You know what I mean? That wasn't the home run.
So I understand what you're saying to a degree. Cars movies, I don't care for any of them. Brave, I thought was really good, but not great. Monsters University, again, good, but not great. Good Dinosaur, good, again, not great. Finding Dory, good, not great. I did not watch Cars 3. Incredibles 2, good, not great. I give you some of that, but I still...
I actually can put, like, any of the sequels. I don't think any of them are... I think all of the sequels go into the good, not great category.
Except Toy Story.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Toy Story, yeah.
It's just... definitely there has been a change. And so, getting back to Toy Story 4, I don't know if... I'm not getting my hopes up because, Incredibles 2 wasn't, that good, so...
I mean, well, it is kind of like whenever, like, Pixar originally started, they had, like, a certain plan set out, and once they finished that plan, they had to come up with new ideas that weren't necessarily, like, tightly knit into what their concept was.
Yeah, and they just did whatever, and it's been bad ever since, so...
Well, Pixar was you forget they originally started by Lucas, and he had to sell them off because he went into a deal with Marvel, and they made Howard the Duck.
Whoa, what? That happened?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, Howard the Duck movie bombed so badly that Lucas had to sell off Pixar to stay afloat.
Oh my!
Now, isn't some of Pixar? Wasn't it originally owned by Steve Jobs, and then he sold it off or something?
I can't remember if. I think they got it. I think that's who Lucas sold it to.
All right, back to Toy Story 4. In this trailer, we see that there's a Sporky, and it's come alive, and it's not sure its consciousness. Which is actually a really interesting concept. I don't know if they're going to dive into it or if they're going to be, basically a one-sentence thing. And you have the creepy dolls, and apparently there's a whole nother life with Bo Peep that Woody's really interested in. And, that's going to be interesting if he wants to stay. So, I mean, it doesn't look like a bad movie. I just don't think it's needed, just like Krista said. But it does look like it's going to be well made.
I will say it looks interesting, but I'm just not getting my hopes up because of the previous standard that's been the predominant kind of thing.
All right, Krista, got anything else to say?
I mean, I think it's going to be good. I'm just afraid that they're, like, doing the mistake that so many TV shows have made, and they're overstaying their welcome, and they're, like, going to destroy the good thing they had.
Mm-hmm. I agree, because Cars 2 was so bad, it has tainted my opinion of Pixar forever.
Yeah, Cars 2 really was like the moment where the shit hit the fan. That was it. Like, you're just like, all right, the old Pixar is dead. This is the new Pixar.
I mean, that movie actually made me cry. Nothing to do with the story. Actually, everything to do with the story. This thing was so horrible. I felt like I had 2 hours of my life stolen. Yeah, that's the Spies.
You didn't like the beginning of the movie, which had the freaking missile. Like, what? You didn't like that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just thought the whole thing was dumb. And the first Cars was so good. I mean, Paul Newman just was so awesome in that movie.
I will say this, like, Cars as a franchise, not very good. But
Exactly.
the first cars I can respect though.
There was an actual real story in there, and Paul Newman was so awesome.
Hold on. For Cars, for me, I got halfway through that. I rented it and I stopped caring. So I never got into Cars movies. So I really don't like the original Cars. And I heard Cars 3 is really good. So I don't know, but I haven't seen it. I don't care.
I don't know.
I think it's an old. If you appreciate old cars, this is a car buffs movie. So if you're like into cars, I mean, I am a little bit enough that this movie hit the feels for me, and also it was such a great Paul Newman performance. To me, that's why I like Cars. Cars 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would actually give that movie a 1. I hated it so much.
What, you didn't like the cars eating ice cream?
Nope. That movie, I wanted to like burn the theater down. I was so angry at that movie.
Whoa. Whoa.
Movie, like, it insulted my intelligence. It insulted my lack of intelligence. I felt like it insulted my very existence.
Wow.
Okay, so we have to move on to July. And Spider-Man Far From Home. So we got 2 trailers to talk about. The first one, first of all, it got moved from July 5th to July 2nd. And the first trailer kind of ruined Endgame because you knew that Spider-Man survived. And he's going on a European trip. And there's Mysterio. And then the second trailer
contains spoilers.
It really ruins Endgame, just in case you didn't see it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's like, I'm so sad he died. It's like, it's like, Infinity, or what's it, Endgame hasn't even been out 2 weeks yet, and you're already spoiling the movie. Yeah, okay.
And they're running the trailer before Endgame now.
Oh, God!
I about died. I about died.
Great. I'm so sad he died. Gee, I wonder what's gonna happen in this movie now. Yeah, honestly,
I just couldn't stop laughing.
I don't know. I just like. I'm not on. I can't say. Okay, here's the thing. MCU Spider-Man just has not grown on me to the point where, because the problem with MCU Spider-Man my biggest issue is like, he's really not his own superhero. He's kind of like an Iron Man spinoff, and I don't like that. I much prefer the Sam Raimi movies. So I don't know. I can't say I'm very excited for this one. I'm probably gonna go see it for the review or whatever, but I'm not like, oh boy, another freaking MCU Spider-Man where he's basically just Tony Stark Jr. You know, it's like, I don't like that. You know, in the comic book, he's his own character and stuff, and I kind of miss that. You know, he's not a sidekick. He's his own hero. He's Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy, you know?
Yeah. So hopefully he becomes his own guy.
Yeah, but it's just, yeah. And then another thing, too, is it's just something about, like, you know, it's like, oh, he's going off to this place, and he's going to do this thing, and he's got all these suits, and I'm just like, okay, all right.
So, the movie really kind of alludes that Mysterio is a good guy from another dimension, and obviously for any Spider-Man fans, we know that Mysterio is a damn liar, so we can't trust him there, but the idea of a multiverse is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's not going to be a disaster.
Yeah. My prediction was that that they created alternate universes with all the time travel. I hope that wasn't a spoiler.
I've had a lot of problems with actually trying to cover this because I did put on the website warning, and this trailer has endgame spoilers before, but how do I talk about this on, Twitter and everything else? So it's just a little bit hard to do that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm sold on this trailer. I do like this Spider-Man, and I do like this idea. Obviously we know that he's a bad guy, but I find it interesting. I think it's a good take on things, but has it got a potential?
Yeah. I'm just curious to see where they go with it, because they do like to kind of remix the comic history. So, and I know Jake Gyllenhaal at one time was cast as Spider-Man, but he never got to play Spider-Man because Tobey Maguire agreed to Sony's terms, and all of a sudden his back injury was better.
Yeah.
So,
and I've
seriously missed Tony though, Toby.
Yeah. Oh, I would love. I just wish. I'm just hoping Tobey Maguire wants to do something in the Spider-Verse movies, because I would love to see him pop up in a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. I just I don't know. It's those movies were just so good, and I can't. Part of the thing with the MCU that I'm kind of starting to realize is that, sure, they are parts of a larger universe, but I feel like sometimes the movies themselves are kind of robbed of an identity to be part of a larger thing, and that's kind of unfortunate. And I think Spider-Man has been especially done dirty by the whole thing. And I don't know if that's because he's a Sony character and Marvel's purposely making him extremely tied to the MCU so that, he can't be his own thing because, they don't want Sony to do something with it. But I don't know. Just seems that there seems to be almost corporate meddling in the decision that to make Spider-Man the character he is portrayed in the MCU. And I don't know if I've never heard anyone else have really that criticism of him, but that's kind of the way I feel. I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
I mean, I don't feel completely that way, but I do see and understand your complaint, and and I do agree with it. But the thing is, it's just not bad enough for me that I can sit here, I can watch the movies and be fine with it.
Yeah. It's just,
I mean,
I'm just it's and the thing, I guess a problem for me too is I want things to be comic accurate, and I know that's you got to separate the comic from the movie, but it's kind of hard when the comics do it better, or at least you believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Because that was one of my biggest problems with, especially the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man years. See, I like Garfield as an actor. He's a great actor. He was horribly miscast as Spider-Man.
What, you didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Oh, God. Don't even get me started.
Come on, that was a fun one with the Green Goblin and the freaking "You're a fraud, Spider-Man." It was great. You on the table?
It was great in a Sharknado sense. Like Sharknado 4.
Yeah, so getting back to the new Spider-Man movie, it's seems okay, but I don't know. It seems very similar. It seems to me like it's gonna be very not maybe not in the exact same way, but tonally to the first one. And the first one was just kind of okay, I think.
It's probably going to be a Return of the King's epilogue for Endgame.
Maybe.
All right, so let's keep going here to August. And August, we got wait. Before August, we got one more movie, July 19th, just Lion King remake. What are you guys' thoughts on Lion King coming back?
It just looks like a remake of the first one. Like, literally just the first movie, but live action. And by live action, I mean CGI.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed they wouldn't show the characters actually speaking.
Yeah. They haven't shown that yet. I just noticed that. So, isn't it gonna look weird? I don't know.
Yeah. It's like,
What the frick are Timon and Pumbaa gonna look like in this movie? That's what I'm wondering. Like, because
yeah, exactly.
warthogs do not look like. Here's the thing: in a cartoon, you could make, what the frick are they? One's a warthog, the other's like a prairie. I want to say
meerkat.
Prairie dog. Yeah, meerkat. Yeah. One's a meerkat, the other's a warthog. It's like, these animals, yeah, you can make them look freaking cute in animation, but in real life, they kind of look weird.
And scary.
Warthog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warthog. So I don't know. See, here's the thing. I honestly don't really get the whole, okay, we're going to make these, previously animated movies into digitally CGI movies. It's like, for some movies I can say, okay, yeah, maybe. Like the Jungle Book one, that was pretty good. But I think that one worked primarily because you had at least one, like, actual character, like one actual actor, and he was kind of interacting with, a jungle world that was CGI kind of. So it worked out kind of. But I don't get it. Like, why does every single movie need to be made? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, especially since Disney has plenty of rides that they haven't adapted into movies yet.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the Splash Mountain movie?
The Splash Mountain movie.
Matterhorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is the haunted house? Oh, okay, wait a second.
Okay, wait a minute. We've already had those.
I remember that.
And we're getting jungle, and one of these days we'll have Jungle Cruise.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I have a very meh kind of feeling of it. But then again, I don't know really anyone who's extremely excited for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, these days, when people think Disney, they think Marvel. It's like they've turned into this PG-13 company.
Very weird.
Heroes.
Yeah, like Disney's known primarily now for companies that they bought. It's very weird. Mm-hmm. And the things that they are, quote unquote, making on their own are like either remakes, quote unquote remakes, or just kind of forgettable stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
exactly
very, very weird, very poor. Here's realistically why they're remaking these movies in CGI, because they got a bunch of money and it doesn't take any effort. I mean, you could argue, yeah, the animation caused effort or whatever, but they got billions upon billions to do it, and they can literally just recreate the movie scene for scene and just call it a day. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a lot harder to, like, you know what? If we're gonna remake a movie in live action, do freaking Atlantis, the one that bombed.
Yeah, exactly.
Try again.
Yeah, there were some good ideas in there. It was just poorly executed. Yeah, remake stuff that didn't work the first time around.
Yeah, make Atlantis, remake Treasure Planet. Like, come on. Try out the stuff that didn't work the first time. Because, what's interesting, too, those movies have extremely, like, diehard, like cult followings too.
Huh?
So yeah, they do. So I mean, I don't see. Yeah, I don't get it. Everyone likes The Lion King, everyone likes Aladdin, everyone likes these movies. I don't get why, we can't show love to the movies that didn't really get a good chance,
Mm-hmm.
like the early 2000s Disney movies.
Yeah, or why don't they do a live action remake of The Black Cauldron?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be on point with what's popular right now.
Yeah, there's a ton. It seems to me that they are only remaking and paying attention to the stuff that was already popular. They aren't going to try and bring up something that most people have forgotten about. Just
it's like they're
very disappointing.
It's like it's like they're moving into the realm of they're only interested in releasing billion-dollar movies.
Yes, yeah. And again, it seems to me, this is I have a very cynical worldview, but that to me personally, the executives are just like, okay, what can we make $1 billion off of and not have really any effort? So that's what it seems like to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, but very interesting.
Like me and Krista said before about it being really hard to see the scene with Mufasa. That's going to be a hard scene to see in real life. So I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to edit that to be PG-13. I don't even think it's PG-13. I think it's PG, right? So I don't know how they're going to edit that to be PG. Another thing that I'm kind of wondering is there's kind of a lot of that. There's a lot of in the original Lion King. There's a lot of scenes that are kind of pretty violent, and I think they got away with it because it was a cartoon. I don't know how they're going to put that in CGI and make it look, it's going to be more scary now.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I was gonna say is are they gonna adapt all the songs back? And if so, are the hyenas going to do the Third Reich march again? Because if so, I want that to happen.
All right, Krista, do you have anything to add to Lion King discussion?
I think the Lion King, comparing the CG to all the other CG we've seen, is the best CG of the summer, but it still seems slightly off.
I'll give you that. What do you guys think of the CG?
It looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fine.
It looks fine, but I'm just I'm wondering how are you gonna adapt these characters who look a certain way in a cartoon 2D format into live action when the live action versions look hideous.
Well, we'll find out in July. So let's move on to the last movie we're going to talk about. Last confirmed 3D movie is Angry Birds Movie 2, which I like the first one. I'll give it that. But this one looks terrible.
Yes. Just what I needed. The Angry Birds movie.
Krista, do you got anything on this?
I really don't care about Angry Birds at all.
Is anybody still playing Angry Birds?
I thought they discontinued the game.
No, I think a new one just came out.
I think remixes now, like Angry Birds Star Wars, and I imagine there'll be Angry Birds Avengers.
Yeah.
Or even cooler, Angry Games Game of Thrones.
Yes. To be better than the show at this point. The new season's so bad.
So the plot has to do with another bird that is has ice powers or something? I don't understand it.
Oh yeah. I don't know. One thing I thought that was kind of cool about the first movie is that it did something very few video game movies do, and that's like give a like expand the lore of the game. And I understand, like, it's a very simple game, you know, you're just birds firing yourself at pigs and causing them to explode. But the thing is that it did, like, it fleshed out the kind of, all right, we have our own island and these freaking pigs are gonna try to come on. Like, very, very interesting and very weird. Like, I've heard the first movie has like undertones about nativism, and it's very weird to think that an Angry Birds movie would talk about that, but it kind of does. So I don't know. Interesting. As for the second one, I don't know.
Well, I can say I saw the trailer in 3D, and I wasn't that impressed with the 3D in the trailer.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's basically it for confirmed movies. We may have a Dora and the Golden Goose or the Golden Palace or something.
No, it's Doria and the Lost City of Gold, and I don't know if it's going to be in 3D, but I desperately want to see it.
Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
It is the most ridiculous premise for a movie I have ever heard. It's like going to be like awful. Like we've been talking about bad CG. The CG in this movie is objectively awful, but it's like the kind of movie where that's okay because the movie itself is awful. So like it's gonna be like so bad it's good.
Oh, I don't know. The guy from Ant-Man's in it. That guy's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just like the premise, like the target audience for this movie isn't kids. It's like 20-somethings who have kids or who are like babysitting or like me. Like, cause those are the only people who like are like that. We have like the nostalgia of watching Dora as a kid. Also like watch it with kids now. And that's why like the only way it's going to be good is if it like embraces the irony of how ridiculous it is and just like goes for it head on and is like, this is a ridiculous premise for a movie and we're going to embrace it.
No, I agree 100% with the CG. Boots, the monkey, it looks like Jumanji from 90s bad.
It's the ugliest monkey I have ever seen.
Here's the thing. I'm kind of rooting for... Okay, yeah, I have to also understand, if a movie is good or bad, I win either way. That's what you got to understand. If it's good, then it's good. If it's bad, then I will enjoy ripping it apart. Like,
you just want to be entertained, and you can be entertained, good or bad.
Honestly, like, it's like the DCEU. I'm sad that they're starting to get good because it was so much fun. Like, you know, Suicide Squad 2. I was looking forward to that because I thought that we were gonna get another Suicide Squad. Like, I wish. It's disappointing when you know, you want films to be good, but on the other hand, you're like, but if they're bad, then they'll be fun. You know what I mean? It's hard to describe.
No, it makes sense. If it's like a 5 or a 6, it's really hard to review those because it's just like, I don't really care.
Yeah. Look, no one wants a movie that's lukewarm. They want either really good or really bad. That's the way I see it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of my problem with you know, my critique about the MCU. It's like, you know, when the movies are quote unquote bad, they're just kind of meh, and that's worse, you know, than being straight up bad. At least worse in a viewing perspective.
Oh, you need to see the Inhumans pilot if you haven't already.
I watched the series.
I know, isn't it the most
Yes.
god-awful train wreck ever?
Do you like how Triton dies in the first 2 minutes of the movie or the
Yeah,
show?
you can tell they ran out of CG budget. So, and the hair. Oh my god, and the hair.
Medusa's hair gets cut in the first episode, and that's her
Yeah.
power. And you know what's the worst part too? I don't know if you heard this, but the comics retaliated to that show by killing everyone but Black Bolt off.
Ooh.
So, yeah. In 2018, they had a series called Death of the Inhumans, where basically Black Bolt kills everyone. So that, to me, in my head canon, that was like the Marvel Comics executives being like firmly distancing themselves from the show by killing off all the characters. Just, oh man, just wow, what terrible. And like that show has like Palmer written all over it. Just he's the worst.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to summer. Let's wrap up here. So some interesting stats here of the movies. We have about 12. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the movies are Disney or Disney now owned because of Fox.
Great.
So half of them are Disney. We have 1, 2 reboots of previous Disney movies. The most quote unquote original movie, not based on a previous movie, is Detective Pikachu, but we've had multiple animated Pokemon movies before, and we have a semi-sequel reboot with Men in Black, but everything here is sequels, really. I guess Detective Pikachu is the only thing that's kind of original, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
So, kind of disappointing summer.
Yeah.
I agree.
Honestly, this summer seems very bare bones. Not a lot going on.
It's just there aren't any Marvel movies, and then you realize that Marvel is like the entire movie franchise, and that without Marvel, you're like, wait, where'd all the movies go?
Well, I will say the only movie I'm really looking forward to, and by looking forward to, then I hope it's good and it does well, is the Godzilla movie. I'm hoping that one does well.
All right, one cool movie not coming out this summer is Underdogs, a favorite of James and I.
Yes. Huh. But it has Ariana Grande in it.
All right. That's going to be basically it for this podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
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 Goodbye.
All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They don't put it everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo2d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.